Hi everyone. So thank you all for coming. My name is Ty Patel and I am part of HSBC's Diversity and Inclusion Group. Today what we're going to be presenting to you is the mystery of ESG and what that actually is. So before we get started, I would love to ask if you could play the video that we have so that everyone else can see it, and then we can kick off from there. Whenever.
Hey.
Sorry, everyone, just bear with us for a few minutes. For some reason, the video is not playing. Okay. I think I did it.
Are you know? You
Okay, well, while the video is waiting to play, how's everyone been enjoying their time? Everyone's having a good time? Okay. How many people actually know what ESG stands for? Raise your hands. Okay, great. How many of you think it's actually important to your role and what you're doing today? Okay, great. Now my next question is, do you think it's a crucial aspect of what you would think of while you're being a leader in tomorrow's world? Okay, great. That is going to be amazing. Okay. I feel like this video is never going to play. And just so all of you know, this is one of my first times presenting outside of HSBC, so please bear with me. I might be a bit nervous. I am nervous, I'm sweating. So what is in the video? Right, so all it really is, thank you, is part of our global strategy. So HSBC's ESG agenda actually was set from our global headquarters, right? And what was that? What's that mean? It means that as a global bank, we have to think about not just the US, we have to think about every country that HSBC has a role in, and what that ESG, sorry. Oh, yeah, it looks like we get it. Okay. Watch the video and then I'll explain it after. Enjoy. There's no sound. You can't hear it?
Hear it.
I think we should give it. Put your microphone on. Closer.
see if I can find the verse.
Well, thank you. I know you couldn't probably hear a lot of that. It was just music essentially and trying to give you a view of what our actual strategy really is and what we're looking for as a bank and what we look to do as a bank. Now, and I'm not, can everyone hear me okay? I don't want to wear the mic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I think, I don't know if the mic's still next to the motor that's running or the fan.
It is.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Now we can really hear you.
Now you can really hear me. Thank you. Okay, so great. You don't need to have any of the slides on.
Those slides?
That's okay, yeah, absolutely, because we can't get my slides up, so it's okay. I do have a set of slides which I can send out to you after. But okay, so what that video really embarked on, or rather embraced, was the fact that the ESG message, which stands for environmental, social, and governance, which I hope you all know, and if not, I'm here to sort of demystify what it actually really means. Now, as part of that video showed you, what we're really looking to do is see how we're affecting the environment, and then how are we treating people internally, externally as well. But then the governance piece of it is, as a bank, what are we really doing to govern parts of that? But yeah, what are we really doing to embrace that, govern it, and how are we really showing we can make a difference? Now, as part of as part of the conference, right, we really value you as well, and I'm gonna also pass over to Mel to talk about the importance that ELC brings for us as a bank.
Yeah. Okay. So we love our partnership with ELC. It helps, one, so many students. We give scholarships right now every year for 4 years for 8 students, and they're amazing kids. I have the blessed job, I work for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion with Ty, and I have the blessed job of reading their entries, and just, my goodness, our future is gonna be amazing. I just want you to know that, just reading those. And the support that they've gotten, because I've been back and forth between both conferences, is great. So we love that partnership and having that say in kind of what tomorrow looks like. And then we love what's happening in this room, right? Executive professionals, mid-level managers like myself, get us to our next step, right? Help us work together to achieve our future goals. And while I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up, we love that opportunity to speak to individuals like yourself and help you be what you want to be in your next step. So we love our partnership with ELC for that.
Yeah, absolutely, and that also brings you all to why you're probably here in this room. So very important, you all are mid-level managers right now, and hopefully, when we look to the future, ESG is going to be such a crucial part of how you are performing as a leader, how much is involved in everything that you want to champion, and whatever strategy it may be that you're working towards. So that's one of the key things. Now, what is it that we're doing as HSBC? And I'll talk a little bit about the environmental piece first, and then go on to the social piece. So in terms of the environmental piece, our ambition is to become a net zero bank. Now, what does that mean? It means that we're working towards an ambition to become a net zero bank by 2025, I believe, yes, 2025. And we've actually set out a $1 trillion commitment to actually make sure that the companies we're working with and working with internally as well, so all of our operations become net zero. Now that means having no carbon emissions actually emitted from our work or even entered into our work, if that makes sense. And also, please stop me if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. Now, we've actually committed about 170 billion of that already, and that really shows the energy and effort that's really going into this work and how much we're trying as a bank, as well as working with our customers to ensure we're becoming a net zero bank. And something that was really interesting to me was, I learned this actually yesterday, because another professional of ours, Kelly Fisher, who couldn't be here with us today, told us about a quote that was actually said back in like 1990s, where a bank's only responsibility was to be profitable, right? But that's actually not true in this day and age. It's actually not to be profitable, it's making sure that we're being profitable in a sustainable way. Does that mean, that means, are we looking at the types of clients we bring in the door, the types of people we're working with, but also who our clients are working with. Are they showing the right message that we actually want to portray and support as a bank or as an industry, right? So for example, and this is a personal example, there's females in the room who use makeup, right? A lot of the makeup products that are used have actual pig content in it or pig fat in it, right? That's actually harmful to the environment. Now, if I was an individual looking at it today, I would be like, oh my God, I'm not buying that product at all. It's the same as we think about our clients, right? Are we actually confident in what they're bringing to the table? Are we confident that we're supporting them in the right ways? And we're actually confident to say that this customer is completely sustainable. It's like being proud of who you support, right? And then that's another one component of it. And then the second component of it is social, right? What are we actually doing to enhance our diversity outside and inside? Now, diversity doesn't just mean representation, it means a lot of different things, as you all know. But internally, and I can speak to this really well, but the strategy that we have internally to enhance our culture and inclusion agenda is that we want to improve diversity, not just at the C-suite, but all across levels, right? And then we have a 6-pillar strategy that's actually used to advance inclusion. Now, part of that 6-pillar strategy is ensuring that, one, we're advancing the conversations, ensuring that our colleagues are actually comfortable having open dialogue. And then 2, that's also ensuring that our senior managers and all of our C-suite are actually open to having those conversations with all individuals across the bank. Now, as part of that, we've actually really included the dialogue with our customers as well. So now we have customers asking us what we're doing internally for our diversity and inclusion strategy, and as well, what are we portraying externally? Like, one of the best examples I can think of is that we've actually committed to being as transparent as possible in terms of our data. So not only do we do that with how all of our clients and like which clients we actually support, but also internally, what does our diversity look like at the senior level, mid-level, and the graduate and internship level. So that's pretty transparent across the board, right? So I think it's very interesting to see how far we've come along in this journey, and see that both ESG or all aspects of ESG is becoming so crucial to all of the work that we're doing. Now, I have a couple of other things to bring up, obviously, and sorry, I am looking at my phone to make sure I'm really bringing up everything I need to. But if you think about some of the, again, going back to the environmental piece, so when we're actually thinking about what this means to our clients, right? A great example is we actually supported Walmart in a massive transaction. Now, environmental doesn't just mean what are we doing for the environment, what are our clients doing for the environment, but it's also how are we helping our clients think of better solutions to bring to their clients and suppliers. So a great example is the Walmart transaction we actually did, and this is a public transaction. So Walmart came to us and said, we don't think our supplier chain is actually very diverse, right? Or we don't think we are supporting the right suppliers. Can you help us check whether we are? and whether we should be thinking about new suppliers and can you help us branch out that network. Now, a solution that was taken to them was expanding their supplier diversity network by saying, right, here is a checklist or a sort of strategy that you can take to your clients and say, suppliers, I apologize, suppliers, and say, is this something that you are doing? Are you actually getting materials from the right individuals? Are we sourcing from the right areas? So for example, if you had a manufacturing company in the Philippines, is that a challenge for us, right? Or a challenge for Walmart as a company? So we actually took that survey to Walmart and said, please take this out to your suppliers, right? And then said to their suppliers, we can help you get in touch with better manufacturers and a bigger network and actually provide them a better rate as well. Because if you're doing that, then you would actually end up having a much more holistic supplier diverse network, and then we can actually check in terms of, are we being sustainable with which suppliers we're working with. So that's one of the key examples. Now,
and just additionally to that, the small business, right, the diverse small businesses that work with Walmart, it'd be faster.
yes, exactly. So part of that transaction is ensuring that we can get those suppliers money quicker, right? So that was a big plus side for them, and we were able to actually branch out a full supplier diversity network, or diverse supplier network rather, and say to those clients, yes, we're going to get you money quicker, but we can also help you play with your clients quicker. So it was a vice versa relationship. And that's just one of the beautiful ways in which the ESG, or rather this ESG strategy, is working. We're able to take solutions to our clients that are more sustainable in the long run, and that we're actually able to say to them, we believe that you do have a diverse range of suppliers, and we believe we're supporting the right clients. So I'm going to stop here right now. Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Yes, go ahead.
So I'm thinking about your net zero target. Hi everyone, my name is Charlotte Catchings. I work for Cisco Systems, and ESG is definitely at the foundation of our company and in everything that we do. But it's interesting. The previous role that I just came out of was a sustainability program manager, and that was for packaging. And it was to the point where we have goals as well, 2025 goals for circular economy. But it wasn't just, we should do this. We had gotten to the point where we knew we needed to do it, but then we didn't have a choice because our customers have goals as well. And then there are regulations that are rolling out across the country. So I'm wondering, and I may have just not interpreted what you said or understood very well, but I'm wondering, how are you going to reach your goal if it sounds kind of soft and optional for your suppliers? Because you're going to have to mandate it and push it in order to meet it, right?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I mean, we have a whole team working on it, right? So by that, I mean, they're not just pushing it, but it's something that we're encouraging our clients to do. And this is also not just a US goal for us, it's a global goal, right? So we're trying to reach this ambition of becoming a net zero company, right? And so when we're talking to our clients, we're encouraging them to look at the solutions we're providing. And I don't have the list of products exactly, but I can always get that and always reach out to you all after and provide that. But there is a bunch of solutions that we're able to provide, so we encourage our customers to have a look at that. And nowadays, for example, right, and this is something that I still find very interesting, diversity and inclusion as a team, or our inclusion and culture team, and the ESG team are completely siloed, right, from the business. But because of relationships that some of us might have had with relationship managers who actually are talking to the bigger clients or all clients, they actually come to us and ask us, what can we take to our clients? So if that conversation is happening, I'm hoping that eventually it will trickle down. But our clients and our relationship managers are becoming a lot more equipped to actually have those conversations. And hopefully all of the products we're actually providing are sustainable solutions for the long term. Does that answer your question?
It does. And it's an interesting place that many companies are in, because everyone is announcing and proclaiming that they want to be net zero by some target year. Then you have some companies that they don't even know how they're going to measure it. They don't really know how they're going to do it, or their portfolio is so complex that it's kind of a struggle on where to start. And Cisco is one of those companies. I mean, we do have a methodology now, and we definitely have a process, but it's difficult. It's difficult. And it's, sometimes I wonder, is it the trendy thing to do? And a lot of companies are just announcing goals because it's a trendy thing to do, or people, do they really believe and they really want to do it? And so they're really looking at the data hard to figure out how to get there.
So that's a really interesting point, because and if you think about COVID and the pandemic, right, it did bring a lot of attention to certain issues that companies were just avoiding, right? Not just social injustice, like racial injustice, social injustices. It was actually talking about, are we being environmentally friendly enough? But we've actually had this goal out since 2019, right? But there are so many companies that are doing the same thing. You're right, is it trendy? And I don't think so, in my own personal opinion. It's not just the trendy thing to do, because we're gonna get to a point where people are gonna be like, well, we've started damaging the world, and it's actually part of our work that's contributing to this damage. So if we can do things to better it, and if every company is trying to do the same thing, then hopefully we're on a better path. And it's something interesting, like our CEO said, right? He wants to disprove, or he wants to show that a sustainable balance sheet is a profitable balance sheet. And so if all these companies that are changing to completely sustainable products can do it and show a profit, why can't every other industry possibly do the same? It's expensive. Is it expensive to go and build an entirely new manufacturing plot to say, I need all sustainable materials to ensure there's no carbon emissions? Absolutely. But in the long run, is it more profitable? Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
I think just so we're aware, the goals that were set, or the 2030 goal was established by the United Nations. So there's a list of things that everyone has to do based off of what the United Nations started, and all of us are probably headed towards the same thing, let's say 2030, because that's when they're trying to set us to all achieve that goal.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. And to be honest, I don't actually know what the real goal is, but it is basically saying, are companies looking to do that? And we actually have to provide how we're doing that to the regulations. So it's a commitment that's required by all companies. Yeah, good.
Hi, I'm April Clark. I'm with BP Oil and Gas, and we have a huge sustainability team and ESG framework. And I'm an epidemiologist, so I'm working with the goal around improving lives. So I'm just wondering, does HSBC have a goal related to health? And if so, how are you measuring that? How does it fit into the bigger picture? Is health equity a part of it? Just curious.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I can probably speak to the part that I actually know, which is externally we do have a specific healthcare and educational area that we focus on just for the specific clients we're financing. So in terms of that, but I don't know if there's a target or a goal around that. So I can find the answer and give it to you, but I know that we have a specific healthcare group of individual or specialists who actually provide clients with that outlook, saying what's actually good for them to do as clients, right? Internally, we actually look to provide as many healthcare benefits. If you see the list of healthcare benefits to our internal colleagues, it's insane. Sometimes you just think, wow, there's so many, where do I start? But that's the opposite side of it, right? So internally, we're always trying to look after our colleagues, and then externally, we are definitely ensuring that there are specialists speaking to those companies and industries. Hi, yeah, sure, go ahead.
How you doing? Ruben Stokes, I'm with Bank of America. In conversations that we have with clients, certainly there's a subset of our clients that are totally get ESG and 100% behind it, but then there's also a different subset that use it more through a philanthropic lens rather than a strategic business initiative. I'm curious, how do you communicate the business argument and the business value to your internal, external stakeholders? How does that conversation develop and evolve?
Yeah, I think it's a very good point, right? So we have, and that conversation includes philanthropy as well. We actually have a lot of philanthropic actions that we're doing, and I can give it over to Mel in a couple of minutes to talk about the actual partnerships we have with other companies and partners, right? But to our clients themselves, we're showing them what we're doing. We take to them and say, we're actually doing this with a bunch of other companies, and here's why you should work with us as well, right? So we're using it as, and I know a lot of RMs do this, or relationship managers do this, they actually do tell their clients, like, hey, this is what we're trying to do as a bank, and you should want to work with us. So that's the answer I have for you in terms of what I've seen so far. What they're specifically taking, I can always send over. There's literally brochures and brochures of it, but our relationship managers are actually equipped to talk to it. Yeah. Do you want to speak to the ELC memberships? The partnerships?
Yes, so we have partnerships with Alpha as well, which is for the Hispanic community. We work with many different corporations dealing with the environment, so we do park cleanups and beach cleanups for our employees. It's important for us to help out for ourselves and for our employees, so if it's important to an employee, and I will tell you, we hear from employees all the time, I would love to do this, I would love to get involved with that. We're like, absolutely, let's just add this project to our list, and we bring it to either the philanthropic group, who then, there's a whole process where we spend that, give the annual checks to, and develop relationships and create many wonderful events with. Or there's different, like us, we will take it on ourselves and appear at a conference or work together to get scholarships. So we do give back on many different levels as an organization, and we give our employees a lot of say in what we do there, because if it's important to our employees, it's important to us, and that speaks to that. And I just wanted to touch on, so I think COVID really brought, and I'm a Marvel fan, so Endgame I think of, where there was that big break, right? Everybody was missing, and you see the whales in the Hudson and all of that, right? I think COVID brought a lot of attention to the fact that when people are home, you see so much more wildlife. And I live in New Jersey. I was like, why are there deer everywhere? And I'm like 5 miles an hour going to the grocery store. But it's true, right? When we're not out there and we're not out there destroying the environment, they come back. And so I think, yes, some companies think it's a fad, but it's proven itself because we all were locked down for a year and wildlife came back.
Sorry, I'm Sandra Logo and I'm from BMS. The question for you on this fad thing, yes it is a fad, but are you doing anything towards not making it a fad within your company? Because one of the things that we do, and everyone knows third-party risk, and ESG is part of it. We want to know how people are with sustainability, environmental, all of that. And based on that, you can decide whether or not to do business. So are you guys going in that direction at all?
Absolutely. We absolutely are. We've given the challenge to some of our clients about this is the way we're going, this is what we want to achieve it with us, because we know we're going to end relationships in the future. And just on a day-to-day, if I forget to bring a cup to the office, I'm like, crap, I'm going to die of thirst all day. Because we don't have disposable cups in the office, and you hardly ever find paper and pen around. We have done our best to cut it back.
It's great to be operational.
Yeah.
To go to an environment that has that, operational consciousness there. I have a great example for you actually. So we recently we have a bunch of different employee resource groups, right? And someone who's actually a VP in the ESG team, he actually was asked he's one of the Pride leaders, right? So our Pride ERG leaders, a relationship manager actually went to him and said, I would like you to help me with this client because we don't believe that some of their LGBTQ rights or what they have in their company for LGBTQ individuals actually is fair. And so we have our actual relationship managers looking at that for clients. And so demystifying the sort of fad side of it, I think what's becoming apparent is that what's important to you as an individual can really be taken to work. And I think that we have our relationship managers asking the right questions, our clients are coming to us and asking the right questions too. So they're saying, are we doing the right thing as a client too? And we're not there to say, there are definitely loads of procedures in place to say whether we don't want a customer or not, but there are also loads of procedures in place to help a customer become something that they want to become, right? And provide them the solutions that we need to give them. Yeah. Any more questions?
I just have one observation. Thank you very much for this presentation. My name is Andre, and I work in financial services in a technology role. And ESG has come into my life because my professional life, because our clients, who we sell financial services to, financial products to specifically, are demanding products that they can themselves turn around and say supports their goals of being, for example, net zero, or under the whole ESG banner. Is a fad, but it is going to become the reality, at least in my business's opinion. My comment is that when it comes to designing these financial products, my role is to go out there and get the data to back up the investments that can then be sold as an ESG investment. It is buying bonds that are supporting the growth of education in underserved communities, for example. It is supporting a land development project that is not deemed to be environmentally detrimental and whatnot. But the data isn't there. The data isn't there at the level of quality to be able to create these products as quickly as the business demands. So I'm wondering, in ESG's portfolio of solutions, is there a focus on actually being that data provider, being out there where you're selling a service to gather this data? There are lots out there right now, but is that part of HSBC's portfolio? Can I go back to Brooklyn one day and say, hey, perhaps we should look over here for this data?
So I can actually answer that. So we actually issued one of our first green bonds 2 years ago, and we actually published a lot of what we did around it, how we did it, what was included in the data, and actually that's all available on our public site. So if you go to our ESG report, it actually has all of it in there. So it's very interesting to read and understand how we actually did it. So yeah, and I'm more than happy to send you that personally later. So yeah, I can do that. And there is data out there, right? And people are starting from a scratching board, or rather a whiteboard, right? It was basically empty when people actually started looking at solutions. And hopefully there will be more data, but I know as a bank we've committed to provide that data externally, and we've been doing so since 2019. It wasn't as robust in 2019, but if you look at it from 2021, in terms of last year's report, it was robust. And then in this year's report for 2022, when we release it in February, we're planning to do the same thing. Yeah. Okay. So I guess my last sort of piece to you all is, just really think about what ESG means to you in your role, and then how you would take that into the world as leaders for the future, right? So I guess that's it from me, and if anyone, sorry, go ahead. There was loads of questions.
So you spent a little bit of time on like the sustainability, environmental side, and the social, but from a governance perspective, like the G, like ESG. When I first started hearing about ESG, it was in the height of all the social injustices and unrest. From a governance perspective, like companies are going to begin to be mandated to have diversity on their boards. I know pay for executives are in there. From a pay equity perspective, knowing that professionals of color often don't negotiate as much. How can we leverage that from a governance perspective internally at our publicly traded organizations to either push the envelope on diversifying boards and or pay equity for professionals of color as well?
This is great. This is something we can actually speak to. Sorry, I shouldn't be saying that. It's a huge part of my role. Okay, to answer your first question, how can you as an individual take that and champion that message on, right? Yes, the message has to come from the top too, but you can also go and say, right, why is there no one on this board who's of an ethnic minority, of a diverse background? So for example, we as HSBC have actually started, for the last 2-3 years, we've actually mandated that we needed to have diversity on our board. We've actually stated publicly that we need to have 30% females on the C-suite or the executive committees. We've actually publicly gone out and said what are our goals as a company to improve diversity representation, and we've actually extended that out to 2025 and say, what is it we want to achieve and how are we doing it, right? If you look on hopefully all banks have been doing this, but in the financial industry, so I would like to think that they've all published what they're actually doing, and we're held accountable. For example, my boss, or the head of inclusion and culture for HSBC, who's here today, not in this room, but he is here today, he's held accountable, our team is held accountable to show what we're actually doing to advance inclusion and improve diversity representation across the organization. And then our executive committee is actually held responsible. So I, for example, create dashboards showing exactly what they're doing and how much that's helping them move the needle. And then that gets taken to the board, and the board questions what we're actually doing and why it's not moving, or if it is moving, how did it move? So it's really a mix of all, and it has to be a collaboration. But that message can start from anywhere. It can start from you going to your leader tomorrow saying, why is this not happening? Right, sorry, go ahead. She had her hand up first, if that's okay. Thank you, sorry.
Sorry to take us back to the
That's okay.
I kind of have a two-part question, but the first part of it, so my name is Angelina. I work at AWS on our industry products team, and so my team is charged with creating industry-specific service, and so I sit within sustainability vertical. So similar to kind of figuring out how do we reduce our carbon footprint, but also how do we help enable our customers to do so as well. And so curious to how you all are thinking through how you're prioritizing, what parts of, the carbon, thinking about EVs, you think about how different parts of the country or company is contributing to carbon, so how are you all prioritizing what you're focusing on first? So there's so many different areas that are contributing to that.
So I don't actually have an answer to that. I'm going to be very honest with you, because in my view, we've been focusing on everything, but that could be absolutely wrong. So I will get you an answer, and I actually take your name after and make sure I get you an answer. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I'm Jennifer Daniels White. I'm from General Motors, and going back to the G. One of the things that came up earlier was ESG as a whole and being a fad, but I also look at the political environment we're in right now, and as we head into midterms, we have a lot of politicians campaigning actively against the G.
Yeah.
So what data is being put out there to support and continue the ESG efforts and not let them get swept away via politics or via being a fad, or the populist fad?
So interesting. Today, Bloomberg came out with an article literally saying the same thing. Saying what is it that banks and every company is doing to ensure that they're not sort of hearing it's a fad and not believing it, or rather believing it and sort of deterring from their strategy. I think that really comes from the top, honestly. It comes from whether your CEO is a true believer of what they're actually putting out there for an ESG strategy. So if that's the case, I don't think it would deter from it. And there's proven cases. For example, this Walmart case that I just gave earlier, right? We helped Walmart increase its chain of diverse suppliers and also improve their relationships with that diverse supplier group and ensuring that those companies they're working for are sustainable. And that just shows it was a very big win for us, right? So that's a pure example of how companies are able to do it and win from it or become profitable from it too. And hopefully for those companies, it's an example, for other banks looking at it, it's an example of, great, if someone else can do it, why shouldn't we continue to do it and make money as well?
And then think about our clients, right? Our clients don't fit one category. If you want to make money, you want to appeal to the broader audience, and you need to reach out there. So we have been making changes to our board, and we're constantly looking. We're looking to bring on a Hispanic person. Melvin and...
Yep, just hired two, we just hired two black, one female, and one male.
Right. So we're making the changes because it's the right thing to do, thinking outside of that political standpoint, right? If that's what companies are going to do, then you're going to do the right thing every time. If you're only doing it because Bloomberg says this is the cool thing to do this week, then of course it's going to change and your path will change and you will not make the meaningful changes you want to. But what we're doing as a company is ignoring the politics around it and going with what's right and what we believe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. Customers are still holding us accountable. The amount of times I get asked, what are we actually doing, and what is your representation, and what have you done to change your representation over the last 3 years? But one thing I will add to Mel's point and all of your points, it's not just about improving your representation, it's about what you're actually doing to include the people that you're bringing in. And that's something that I've continued to harbor on. Are we listening to the ideas that we bring? And so this fad comment, like the fad piece around it too, to be honest, every single one of us in this room have something that's important to us. We will probably voice that, and we should, hopefully everyone has the confidence enough to voice what's important to them. And so the people sitting around the table with you, whether it's a client, whether it's the colleagues that you're bringing to the deal table, they're going to be saying what's important to them. And so hopefully that message still continues, because I believe that the environment and social injustices and everything that's going on in the world is important to most people.
So where does ESG sit in your organization? Is it DE&I? Is it corporate social responsibility? And so, like, where does it sit? And I know it may change from organization to organization on this period.
For us, actually, we have its own streamline, so it goes straight up into global corporate sustainability, and then it goes straight into the strategy team. So it doesn't sit in HR, it doesn't sit in diversity and inclusion, it actually has its own line of responsibility. Part of that then turns into corporate sustainable responsibility. So the people who lead, well, for example, the individual who leads corporate sustainability here in the US, she lines straight up into the global reporting head of it.
Can I also share, just as a different point of view for Cisco? We vastly expanded the scope of our HR organization. And so now it includes not only the people relation, employee relations, but it also includes sustainability and the policy and purpose from the government perspective as well. And that's just something that we have changed in the past year. So it's interesting how different companies kind of, where they place it in their company structure.
It definitely is. And part of our inclusion strategy across the bank, one of the pillars is actually strategic giving, like what we're actually doing to give back to the communities and give back to the environment, right? So it kind of gets intertwined.
Yeah.
And that's what I've noticed. It definitely gets intertwined. So hopefully that resonates, but you know, I think it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this space in the next 10 years. So hopefully that was helpful to you all in some way. If you have any questions, I think at the end we provide our details. You're more than welcome to reach out to me, and then I can also get you the answers to the questions I couldn't answer. So great. Thank you all.